So today I'm going to be answering a question from a guy that went on a date with a woman. And at the end of the date, when he asked for another date, she said maybe. And based on that answer, he's wanting to know if she's playing mind games with him or what's going on. And so I'm going to read through his question. And what we're going to be able to see is there's a lot of mistakes that this guy is actually making already early on in the dating process that he's not aware of, that could ultimately lead to this woman not wanting to see him anymore. And it's mistakes that, hey, a lot of guys make. Back in the day when I didn't know this stuff, I made a lot of these same mistakes on dates because I was thinking, hey, if women are saying they want an honest guy that is trying to be truthful with them, then I need to say certain things, I need to do certain things, and I need to present them early on with the idea that I'm already feeling things and that I want to continue to see them. And those, while it sounds very logical to do that, I have found in my dating life, as well as the guys that I've coached, that tends to not be a pathway towards actually getting the women that you want to be more attracted to you. Like her accepting the date, there's already a level of her saying, on some level, I find you attractive enough to meet up with. But then if you're doing certain things on a date that are unbeknownst to you, the wrong things to do, it can cause her like for you to go downhill really quickly, all right? So I'm going to answer this guy's question. If you're watching this guy, all I ask is that if you find this information to be helpful, consider leaving a Cash App for yours truly at $Harry Wilmington, all right? Also, you can go to my website, introvertdatingsuccess.com, to check out my coaching program, the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program. It is a 12-week program that takes you through the ins and outs of how to attract women, how to land in relationships, how to approach women. But more importantly, it's really is a course that's about how to actually help you out and how to get rid of your anxiousness and any other problems that you may have been facing in your dating life so you can transform yourself to show up in a way that's going to be authentic to you, but also appealing to women. So check that out at the website. Also this month, we're doing Pay What You Want May, where for my ebooks that I have there, if you go there and you see an ebook that you like, whether it's my book on texting, how to get your girlfriend back, or on the things not to do in a relationship, then you can get any of those books at any price. Just type something into the space, into the thing at checkout, and that'll be the price that you pay for. So that's for May only. So check that out. All right. So with that said, let's get into this guy's question. I'm going to read it all the way through first, and then I'm going to break down parts that I feel he could use help with. So his question says, so I met a lady yesterday on a date. It was nice. We had lots of laughs, and she said she's interested in a relationship when I asked her about what she wants at the moment. But after the date, when I asked if she wanted a second date, she said maybe with a smile. I know ladies tend to play mind games as well, but I wanted to know what that meant. I gave her a hug and a peck on the cheek, and we went our separate ways. What does that actually mean? Maybe after the date went pretty well. So I'm going to answer that question, but first I'm going to go through and break down the entirety of your date because, like I said, early on already, you're starting to make small little mistakes that to you are going to seem like very, very minor things. But I have found that these minor things that you're doing have a big impact on the way that women are thinking about you and feeling about you, more importantly. All right. So let's start at the beginning. He met a lady on a date yesterday. I'm glad that happened. It was nice. He said we had a lot of laughs. And she said she's interested in a relationship when I asked her about what she wants at the moment. So this right here is already your first mistake. Again, it may seem like a minor thing, but when you asked her what she's looking for in a relationship, or maybe you probably asked like, what kind of situation are you looking for? Are you looking for a serious relationship? Are you looking for a situationship? Are you looking for friends with benefits? Like, what are you looking for? And asking that question is a very logical, analytical guy way of trying to determine what this woman's going to possibly be for you, But unfortunately, that is actually a question that on the woman's side of things is actually a negative. And here's why, okay? Early on in the first few times that you're going out with a woman, she's not necessarily looking at you as, I want to be in a relationship. What she's on in her journey is this guy good enough to get along with? Can I trust him? How does he make me feel? Do I feel happy around him? Or do I feel anxious or nervous around him? Or do I just not find him appealing at all, right? So she's trying to figure out those dynamics first to see if the dynamic you two even have is worthy of her continuing to see you more, right? When you come at her with the question saying, so what kind of relationship are you looking for? What you're hearing it as is, I want to know, like, if you're looking for something serious or something that's just going to be playful or whatever, because if you're not looking for something serious, then I don't need to waste my time. So this is a good question for me to ask you so I know in advance what I'm getting myself into. That is the very guy way of looking at that when you're asking that question. What the woman is hearing when you ask her, so what kind of relationship are you looking for? What she hears is, are you looking for a relationship with me? And on a first date, she has not determined if you are that guy. On the second date, she will have not yet determined if you're that guy. By the third date, fourth date, fifth date, she will have not determined if you are that guy. Women on average need 2 to 3 months of time spent with you in order to further clarify what their feelings about you are, because that gives them time to see if they can trust you, if you're consistent, how often you're able to make her feel good things, how much she misses you when you're not around. And women need to feel the experience of all that before they come to the conclusion of, do they want to be in a relationship? Here's the other thing, though, that men don't get is that, again, men being very logical are thinking that women, from the moment they go on that first date, are already sizing up if you're going to be the guy that she's going to be serious with or just have flings with or be in a situationship with, right? Women do not analyze men that way when they're trying to date them. Because here's the thing, right? Like I said, on that first date, she doesn't know what you're going to be. And so a lot of guys come to women after that first or second date thinking, well, it's been 2 dates. We've had some good conversations. In this guy's case, he says, oh, the date went really, really well. How does she not already know what she wants out of me? And that's because they need time. And so men will think, well, you know, they'll have the experience in the past of, I went out with a girl a couple of times, we hooked up, and then she left. She was just using me for sex. That's more often than not, that's not what happened. What happened was you went on a couple of dates, things were going great. She was starting to build up feelings for you. And then maybe you guys had like a one-night hookup. And then all of a sudden you got extra needy. You were thinking, now that we've hooked up, this must mean that she's super serious about me. And so now we're in a relationship. And then you started treating her as if you're not in a relationship. It freaked her out and she left. You saw that as she was just playing games and she just wanted to hook up. She felt it as things were going along great. I was trying to go with the flow, because women, when they say they want to go with the flow, what that means is I need to go with the flow of this so I can naturally flow into having more attraction and to naturally flow into wanting this to be a relationship. And that flow for them takes 2 to 3 months. Most guys, after 2 or 3 dates, can't help themselves but to start asking things like, well, how are you feeling about me? Are we in a relationship? What are your feelings? And those are the things that women don't, on average, figure out until month 2 or 3. So it's not that women aren't trying to get into a serious relationship. It's that they're not going to claim you as the person they're trying to do that with until they spent more time with you. So you asking that question early on, it already makes her feel as though you're already thinking about this being super serious, and she's just trying to get through dinner. She's just trying to see if you can make her laugh on this date and maybe the next date. She has not yet been able to see how consistent you are. Now you, as the guy, may not understand that because you're thinking, of course I'm going to be consistent. In her history of dating, she's been with guys that have done the same thing, saying, oh, you can totally trust me. I'm be totally consistent. And then 3 or 4 dates in, they're not that. So even though you yourself know you're going to be consistent, you have to give the grace that she needs time to actually see that from you. And therefore, that's why it makes it a bad idea to be asking women on a first date, so what kind of relationship are you looking for? Most women are looking to be in serious relationships, but on that first date, that's not their agenda for that first date. You know, that agenda comes 2 to 3 months in when she spent more time with you. So you as a guy need to remove that question from your first dates and second dates and forever asking that. Like, stop asking women on these dates, so what are you looking for? Are you looking for serious? Blah, 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 blah. That makes you look like a non-confident guy that's not confident that he's going to be able to attract her enough to actually build her up to where she wants to be in a relationship. She will get there. It just, she needs a little bit more time than you, guy. So that's the first thing. So then he says, after the date, when I asked if she wanted a second date, she said, maybe, with a smile. This was your second mistake. I need you to get out of the habit of asking women for another date while you're on a current date. Now, there are women out there that will probably fight me on that logic and say, but no, I love when guys ask me on a first date if I want to go for a second date. That lets me know that they're super serious. That is a hypothetical. And hey, for some women, that could very well be true. As a guy, I've just learned that you don't lose points for not trying to suggest a second date on a first date. In fact, I've actually found it's a lot easier to get a second date when at the end of that first date, the woman doesn't know if you're going to ask her for another date. But also, men sometimes think that they got to tell women every single thing they ever thought that they're having. And so if a guy's already thinking, I had a great time on this date, I want to get her on a second date, they think I should just tell her that, hey, so this was fun. We should do another date sometime. Are you free? X, Y, and Z. And I want you to think about this, guys, okay? For women, part of them being attracted to you is giving them time to sit with their thoughts and reflect on the date they just had with you, to go over the feeling that you get. Again, women are going to be more attracted to you as they feel things for you. And so women need time after each of these dates to go home and to sit there and to think and feel about the date they just went on and reminisce about when you touched her a certain way, or when you said this comment that really made her laugh, or something you said that was like thought-provoking that made her think, man, this guy's got such a great mind, and whatever. She needs time to talk to her girlfriends about, I went out with this great guy and he was saying all these things and he did this thing and he does this for a living and blah, 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 blah. Like that experience, women need to feel that stuff, in part because it now makes them and their body anticipate, when am I going to be able to get that feeling again? When am I going to be able to see this guy a second time so that way I continue to get those good feelings? And not knowing when that's going to happen is part of the anticipation build for women that they need in order to be attracted to you faster. So when you get to the end of a date and you say to her, hey, I want to go on a second date. Now she goes from, she's about to have this time by herself to think about if she even wants that, to like, oh, he's saying he wants another date. Now I got to decide on that, but I haven't had time to sit down and think about what my feelings were for this date. And so that's why you get an answer like maybe, because she needs to maybe go home and sit and think and not have you in front of her face. And I can already tell based on how this is going that the next move he's going to make is probably from this date. He probably went home and gave her a good night text. He's probably going to try to text her repeatedly throughout the week because he wants to make sure that she still knows he exists by trying to build rapport and trying to text her to be in front of her face. Guys, there was a plethora of time throughout decades and millennia where we didn't have immediate access to a person all the time, and people still got together. People still managed to keep attraction even though they would go on a date and not see the person for a few days. Lo and behold, people still manage to get together and get married. It's amazing. And yet now, in the day and age where we have constant contact with people, the divorce rate is higher than it's ever been. And my honest belief is part of that is because we are too accessible. We want to be in front of the other person's face all the time through text, through phone, video chat, and then we want to constantly invite them into our space all the time, to be around us all the time. I just did a show yesterday talking about how Justin Bieber and his wife are on the outs because part of it was he wants to be around her all the time. And so you have to give women space. You have to give them time to actually miss you so they can anticipate seeing you again. And so part of that means not always letting them know the next move you're going to make or when you're going to make it. So when you at the end of the date are like, hey, I had a good time, let's go on a second date, you've already let her know that you like her a lot. She's already starting to get the feeling that you're going to be needy and that you're a little obsessed with her, because why would you want to be trying to galvanize all of her time so early on after just one date? Which means the woman's now getting the feeling that you've already made a decision about her. Not to mention, we're going to tie that into, you also asked her earlier, hey, so what kind of relationship are you looking for? So you've already asked her, what are you looking for in a relationship? Which to her feels like, are you going to be in a relationship with me? And then at the end of the date, you're saying, hey, by the way, I want to take up more of your time and ask you for a second date right now because I already view you as the girlfriend and possibly us being in a relationship based on the question I asked you earlier about what are you looking for? So all these things stack up to the woman is now saying, okay, I don't know if I want to date with him yet. So I don't want to say no to hurt his feelings, but I'm not sure I'm in the yes category, in part because you have not given her time to sit with herself to think about the date she was just on. So thus her answer is maybe. It's non-committal. It allows her to give you some false hope in the case that she decides to change her mind. And honestly, where she goes from now on really going to be based on what your next move is. If your next move is to hit her up day by day with text after text after text, then that maybe is going to turn into either a no or just her ghosting you altogether. Whereas if after this maybe she goes home and you leave her alone for a few days, then in 4 or 5 days, when you hit her up and ask her for a date for reals this time, she'll be more open to saying yes, in part because you gave her that time to not be in front of her face, which gave her time to think and reminisce on how she felt about going on that actual date with you. All right. So then we go to the next part where he says, I know ladies tend to play mind games as well, but I wanted to know what that meant. So here's the thing, guys. Just because a woman's giving you certain answers or is not outright giving you the response that you want, it doesn't mean that she's necessarily playing mind games. That is not to say that there aren't women out there that will not play mind games. There are some that do that, but I find for most women, it is a waste of their time to play a mind game with you. Like if they don't like you, they could try to play mind games with you, but that's time they could be spending going for another guy that they actually want to get with. Because remember, women's time frame for certain things are a lot different than guys'. Their looks are going to fade a lot quicker, and in terms of their fertility, that's going to run out like on average in their 30s, or at least they won't be as viable as they were in their 20s. So it doesn't typically behoove women, especially women that aren't really vindictive or women that aren't actually out to get guys and actually think positively of guys. Those women aren't trying to just play mind games or just, vie for guys' attention just to get it and then hang them out to dry. Like, again, there are some women that do that, but most women I find aren't doing that. Men call what women are doing playing mind games simply because they don't understand how women work. And they don't understand that some of the things that they're doing as guys in terms of trying to attract them aren't things that women actually want. And this goes to a lot of bad training that men have, either by the way of media or by the way of how they were brought up. Honestly, a lot of guys that grew up under single mom households really don't know how to date because they've been getting told all this stuff based on what their moms told them to do that they wish they had fallen for but didn't. And then so they go out there being these guys that they thought that their mom taught them to be that women would want, and then it's not the guy that women actually want, And so you doing things like asking what kind of relationship she wants, you saying things like, hey, it's the end of this first date, but I already want to plan a second date. Those are things that on paper sound like they should work to attract women. And again, women will fight you on that all day and say it doesn't work, yada, yada, yada. In my experience, in the experience of guys that I've coached, I have found that doing those things tends to lead to less success in dating. So you have to give room to the fact that it's not that she's playing mind games. It's that there are things that you're doing in these situations that are causing women to react a certain way that is not to your understanding as to why they're reacting like that. So as you start to study women more and start to really get a leg up on how dating actually works for them and what actually attracts them, not what they're telling you attracts them, but what actually attracts them, you will find that the things that you're reading as mind games, you'll just see like, oh, that's just how women are. Like, a woman saying maybe because you asked her at the end of a first date for a second date, that's normal because most women haven't really figured out by the end of that first date what their feelings are about the entire experience. And they need that time before they can say emphatically yes to a second date. So that's an example of a thing that you're doing that you also need to stop doing. And by the way, there's a ton more things that I could talk to you about. If you want to go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and sign up for one-on-one coaching, I will be more than happy to walk you through some of the things you've been doing on these dates. Because I imagine the fact that this date went this way, I imagine you're probably doing other dates in the same way. And if you're struggling to be able to keep women, then this is a part of it, but there's probably other things that you're blind to that I'd be happy to point out to you if you want to sign up for a coaching session or if you want to sign up for the Introvert Dating Success Academy altogether. Because I got a lot of years in this and I'd be happy to help you, So all that said, then he said at the end, I gave her a hug and a peck on the cheek and we went our separate ways. I would say, Guy, honestly, for that first date, it's either go hard or go home. So I don't typically try to go for any kind of kiss with a woman on a first date unless I absolutely feel like she's ready for that moment, in which case I'm going for the lips. I'm not going for this cheek thing. Cheek is like mid-range, but cheek also speaks to a woman as if to say, it reads to her like this. When you're giving her a peck on the cheek, what it reads as is, I know I want to kiss you, but I don't think that you're going to actually want it right now. But I still want to get some kind of kiss on you. So I'm going to give you a cheek thing, even though I don't think you're fully ready for any kind of kiss at all, And that on some level is a bit disrespectful to women. Like either you feel the moment and you're like, I think this is a definite go and she wants a kiss and you go in, or you say, you know what? I think I'm going to wait till like the second date, at which point no kiss at all. The hug is totally fine. The pecking on the cheek thing, we don't want to do that. We want to either go hard and go for the lips, or we want to, save the kiss for the next time. All right. But all this to say, guy, yeah, ultimately, you're making some seemingly minor mistakes that can have big impacts on whether she wants to continue to date you. And you need to start being more mindful of what those are. I have plenty of videos you can go through and study. I have books on my website where, by the way, right now you can get them on discount for the month of May, where you can get any of the books that you want here for any price. So you can go to my website, click on the products tab, click on any of the books that you see there. And at the checkout, you can just type in the price that you want to pay for the book, and that'll be the price that you pay. But suffice to say, guy, hopefully what I've told you today helps you out with your dating game immensely, because I definitely want to see you succeed. Like I said, I don't think anything you've done here is a major thing. It's just things that need to be tweaked. But if you're not aware of those things, then how can you tweak them? So hopefully now that you're more aware, you'll be able to have more success. As for this woman, I would say she said maybe. That doesn't outright mean that she's not completely interested, but it does mean that there are things you did on that date that are giving her a bit of pause. I would say give this woman about 5 or 6 days before you hit her up again for a second date, and then ask her out and say, hey, let's go meet up for whatever. And on that date, do not ask about what she's looking for in a relationship. Do not ask her how she's feeling on the date, or if she sees you and her having a future together. Women don't determine those things typically until month 2 or 3. So just go on the date, be your natural self. Whatever you're doing to make this woman laugh, just keep doing that. And there'll be some point in time where you can start going for moves like kisses and hookups and stuff like that. Again, if you need help to know what that process looks like, go to my website and sign up for coaching. And also, if this has been helpful to you, consider leaving a Cash App courtesy of $Harry Wilmington. All right. Anyway, guy, thank you guys for watching this particular stream. I'll be back with more later today because I got some other questions I want to answer for you guys. In the meantime, check out the website, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will talk to you all later. I'm out. Peace.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class